Hi, this is Matt once again. We're about to another video, and this is a paid request from my friend Mike, OCP Communications. Thank you so much for that. For anyone interested in requesting any type of videos, whether it be a topic, tier list, ranking, review, re-review, thought streams, commentaries, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it. I'll get to it as soon as I possibly can. And for those that sent them, thank you. I really do appreciate it. And this is for the 1993 Super Mario Brothers, the movie. Now, before I start, of course, I will be showing this because this is a great piece from Umbrella Entertainment. Very sturdy. You could kill someone with this. Like, literally, look at, you hear that? Like, feels like a brick. And some nice artwork here. Colorful, which makes sense within the movie. And then for those who haven't seen it, there is quite a bit to this. There is a massive book, great wealth of information. I mean, there are storyboards, there's early pre-production artwork, there's interviews with crew members, there are a ton of things from back to the day, merchandise, the type of merchandise they had, whether it be the action figures. So this is just a wealth of information. There's plenty of scenes from the production, the storyboards. There's so much information in this. It's crazy. Great book if you're a fan of the film. There's a reproduction of the little movie magazine from back in the day, which I remember having this back in the day, so nice little novelty. You have these type of cards, like lobby cards. You have the scripts, which I did not read this because there's just a lot to get through, but early drafts of the scripts. And of course the movie itself, which has a 4K as well as 2 Blu-rays with a lot of stuff. I did not get to listen to the commentaries because there's just so many. There's a commentary with the screenwriter, there's a commentary with co-producer and production designer, there's a commentary with the makeup artist, there's a commentary with the people that ran the website, which is a bigger reason why all this came about, these features and stuff. So there's a 4K and a Blu-ray that has this stuff. Then there's a third disc, another Blu-ray, which has the newly restored work print in HD, has the making of featurette, which was from the release from a few years ago, featurettes from back to the day, and some little things here and there, Japanese trailers, commercials, little interviews from back to the day. So it's a very packed set. If you are a fan of the film like I am, this was definitely a nice catch. Ashy was sold out, but they did re-release it because it was so popular, and I snagged myself a copy. One day I would like to listen to the commentaries on this and stuff, but watch the movie, even watch some of the deleted scenes and stuff. And I still enjoy this film. I still rather liked this movie. I think it's weird and creative and quirky and different enough that it makes it at least interesting to watch. I think Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo do a rather good job being a team. I think they have very solid chemistry. They work well together. Has a nice charm to it. I think the score by Alan Silvestri works and is very fitting for the film. The soundtrack I liked Almost Unreal by Roxette. I know that was meant for the film Hocus Pocus. That's even in the song. Do that hocus pocus to me. But I think that song is some nice good emotional beats to it, especially the end bits of the song. I think that could make for a good love song, for a tribute or anything. Like, it's a really good song. I even like the song. There's the Walt the Dinosaur, which is a catchy song. There's not a song, but a piece of music called Speed of Light, when these characters are going through the tunnel system, sliding down this icy tunnel. Very catchy, very fun to listen to. And as I said, this movie's just fun. It's just a fun movie to watch. Very fun movie. And it's one of those films where I get why people didn't like the film. They did not like the film because a big part of it because it wasn't like the game. And I've said multiple times before, you cannot make this game into live action. Animation, sure, they did it a few years ago, which I liked. I liked it for what it was. But with that said, I actually liked this film more because I felt this film had a bit more personality. I thought the characters of Mario and Luigi just felt a bit more fun to watch. I liked their banter more. And while the animated film did well with the fan service and being like the game, looking like the game, again, it was fun for what it needed to be. This one just felt more ambitious, more creative, and I had more fun with this film. Now, maybe chalked it up to nostalgia, sure. But I appreciate what this movie tried to do. Because think about it, especially back then in 1993, where you had maybe, the first three Super Mario Brothers games? That's pretty much it. The story, here's Mario, you're a plumber, you gotta go get the princess. Okay, that's pretty much the story. Mario and Luigi weren't really characters. They're just people that jump, and you jump on stuff, or you get a flower and you shoot stuff, and that's it. Maybe you get the thing with the tail, you fly, like in Mario 3. And I like those games, especially Mario 3. Super Mario Bros. 3 was one of my favorite Nintendo games. But again, it's just not a whole lot of story. And how do you do any of that shit live action? Boxes that you hit your head on, you get coins, turtles you jump on, and you depending on which game it is, you throw it. Terry Gilliam could not have made that fucking film live action. So unless you don't do an animation, if you don't do live action, some things had to change. And I don't know, it didn't bother me with the changes. If it's something that, come on, it'd be so easy to replicate that, like Double Dragon, then I could get more mad and angry. Like the Double Dragon movie, I'm not a fan of, because I'm like, that's a lot easier to turn Double Dragon into a movie than this game was. Now, this had a lot of production stuff back in the day. Disney wanted the film, other companies wanted the film. And the guy who did License to Drive, he was going to direct the film. I think it's Greg Beeman. But then Mom and Dad Save the World flopped. And before, there were multiple scripts. There was one script that a guy wrote that was kind of like Rain Man, because there was this existential road trip movie, and they called it they joked, oh, it's like Drain Man. Rain Man but in the sewers. Don't think I would want to see that film. Then he had another script, which was much more for kids, and felt a bit more like the game, including an anthropomorphized Koopa Bowser character, which they were tossed for Arnold Schwarzenegger to play Bowser. Obviously that didn't work out. Then you have this, with the help of Rocky Morton and Annabel Jankel, who did Max Headroom. And they have a lot of interesting ideas. The look of the film of Dino Hatton, the alternate universe, where there's definitely some influences from Blade Runner about other stuff, with the way the cars look and the city looks. I like the art direction of the film. Seth Rogen, I know he said this is one of the worst films he's ever seen. Fuck you, Seth Rogen. Shut the fuck up. You did Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, where April O'Neil's puking for 5 fucking minutes. And Donnie's going about potato cheese, potato cheese. Or, hey Leo, how does it feel with your head up Splinter's ass? Does it smell like cheese and Doritos? You did that, Seth Rogen. You were in the Green Hornet. You were in Santa Inc. You have zero room to talk about someone being a piece of shit. Because you've been a ton of pieces of shits. Your whole life is a piece of shit. Fuck Seth Rogen. He's a piece of shit. Fuck him. This movie is better than a lot of shit you've done, Seth. So you should shut the fuck up. Sorry, that was good. Green Hornet. Or sausage patty. Oh, a hot dog is fucking a bun? Wow, that's so clever. A hot dog going to a bun is like sex. Fuck you, Seth. Anyway, they were making the film. They're getting ready to start the film, but then the studio and the producers is like, no, well, can you shorten the budget? And they get another writer in to make it a bit more titified, and really made things go into upheaval where the script kept changing, and that's why you get the tone. You just say it's an inconsistent tone, but weirdly enough, in this film, I still think it works for it. I still find it fun and engaging. But yeah, the cast is Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo. Bob Hoskins, I know he hated the film. I know he said it was the worst thing he ever did. I'm like, dude, you were in Son of the Mask. Okay? At least Son of the Mask is way worse than this. You had a cameo in Spice World with the Spice Chicks. I think that's way worse than this. But I know he didn't have a great time working on it. He didn't like the actors. Didn't like that the script kept changing and they weren't big on the directors. Because the directors felt like they were in over their head. And then there's two of them, and sometimes they had different directions. So one will disagree with the other. It's like, well, who the hell am I supposed to listen to? So definitely some chaos involved in the making of the film. Was the most copacetic setting as well, because I think a lot of it they shot at this abandoned cement factory. So it wasn't, the best health-wise to be at, breathing all that shit in. But it's just, when I looked at the end product, when I looked at the film, I just find it fun. I like that the opening has music from the video game. They put this in after the fact where I know Morton and Annabel Jankel did not want this to be opened in this fashion. But you have these sprites of dinosaurs that looked like a video game, but just made the film look a bit cheap and too titified. And then Dan Castellaneta, the voice of Homer Simpson, he comes in to narrate about dinosaurs and how a meteorite struck and it split the dimensions. Because some people said, oh, well, the audience won't get what's happening, the audience won't understand. I'm like, well, that's their fucking problem, because you can watch without that, you still understand if you pay attention. That's their fucking fault for not paying attention. So that opening is goofy looking. But when you get past that, I did think it was interesting, the whole difference of the universes, how this baby is put to him with these nuns and it's an egg, but it opens up, it's just a regular baby. You cut to modern time and you have our characters, Mario and Luigi. Luigi's more open-minded to the paranormal and they're watching this TV show, while Luigi's more into that. Mario is more his feet on the ground. We got to worry about work and getting paid. Now, I did watch some of the deleted scenes. And, I mean, they were interesting to watch, but not really anything that I thought needed to be in the film. Maybe one bit, which I'll get to. But there's an extended bit where they get to their job, but this rival, the Scapellis, beat them to it. And if you watch the deleted scenes, there's a bit of a longer bit where they're arguing with these guys, and Mario's like, come on to the store, to the business owner, we could do it, the job, they're going to overcharge you. But the guy's scared of these other guys' boss, so I'll let you guys do it. But again, Bob Hoskins has a warmth and charm to his character. I thought he did very well as Mario. He looked like how the character would look. Him being, the movie taking place in Brooklyn, he definitely had the accent right. And just really a charming, likable character that I do like more than Chris Pratt as Mario. Chris Pratt did okay, but Bob Hoskins, I just felt a bit of that warmth. And Luigi is actually a part of the movie. He's not. He's in it, then he's gone for most of it, like the animated one, where Luigi's barely in it. No, it's the two of them together, help each other out through this adventure. So for me, it's a better Mario and Luigi story in that aspect compared to the new one where Luigi, again, is taken out of action and captured for most of the damn film. I think some of the dialogue is clever. They meet Samantha Mathis, who will later be in Broken Arrow with John Travolta, and she would do other stuff. I liked her. I thought she was a nice fit. Natural presence. Cute girl. She has an archaeological dig that the Scapellis want to mess with. Well, at least Luigi meets her, falls for her. They talk with her, take her out to dinner. And John Leguizamo, how do you feel about him personally? I think this is actually one of his better performances. Because usually he plays either a very annoying character, like the pest, or a very sarcastic character. But here he's just so optimistic and lighthearted and cheery that it's a very different type of role than what John Leguizamo would play in the future. Very positive role, positive enforcement, to believe in stuff, to take a leap of faith. The idea, very optimistic. He doesn't really play a lot of optimistic characters, so it's a nice. If you look at his whole filmography, it's a nice change of pace, and this is very early in his career. I know he did a 180. Back to the day, he thought the film sucked ass. It was a piece of shit. But now that people actually talk to him about it, he's interviewed on the documentary, among other stuff. Now he doesn't pick on it as much. I'm sure he still doesn't like the film, but still, maybe he appreciates it a bit more. But I did like this book. It's actually one of my favorite roles he's done because of the optimism. And yeah, I think Bob and John had good chemistry together. They felt like brothers with their interactions. And how they did like rebuttals to each other and the way they worked together. I thought they did a good job. There's these other two guys that are trying to get the princess, trying to get Daisy and take her back to their universe, their dimension. Spike and Eddie, played by Richard Edson and Fisher Stevens. Richard Edson, I think he's one of the two guys that steal the car in Ferris Bueller's Day Off and they take on a ride. Fisher Stevens, he was the guy in Short Circuit 1 and 2, the Indian guy, which I know people get mad about that now, but I think Fisher Stevens did a good job in that. And I thought they played off each other fairly well. They were funny. I thought they had good chemistry with each other. They made a fun team. The bits where there's the hot dogs. They call it dogs, so they throw the buns away and they eat just the hot dog. And the way they play off each other, how dumb they are, but they're playing it very serious and very not being over the top. Look how dumb I am. It's just playing it natural. I thought they were a good team. They worked well together. I said there's some funny lines in it when they're having dinner and Luigi's like, "Wow, Mario, there used to be dinosaurs here," and Mario's like, "Hey, relax, man. There used to be Dodges here too." About the Brooklyn Dodgers. I thought that was a funny line. There used to be Dodgers here too. Or when Daisy is taken and they make the leap of faith and they go over and they don't know where they're at. Like, what? We were under the city. What is this, Manhattan? I don't know. I haven't been to Manhattan for a couple weeks. Must have been a bad couple of weeks. I thought that was pretty funny. And again, I thought it was a fun, as a kid, seeing this. I probably first saw it on VHS. I didn't get to see it in the theater. So if it came out in 93, let's say 94 I saw it on VHS. I would have been 11 years old. And it has this kind of Wizard of Oz, which the previous script is even more like Wizard of Oz. You even had like a brick road, and I think you have more stuff from the games involved. Maybe if they were allowed to or had a bit of a budget and put a little bit more, like maybe if there were, instead of searchlights, let's say there's a place they need to sneak into, instead of searchlights, maybe it was the plants from the game that spit fireballs at you. Maybe if the vehicles, the cop cars, when they shot, they would shoot these cannonballs that look like with the teeth. I forget what this called. I'm bad with names. But there are a lot of fun little references to the game. Before I go forward with the plot, there are. There's the big dancer girl. Her name is Big Bertha, and she's kind of dressed like that big fish was in the game. The idea the original Mario was called Jumpman, and the idea you could jump high. So there's these boots that you didn't jump higher. In order to power them up, the little battery looks like one of those cannonball things. The bomb at the end, which I liked how cute it was, and everyone's scared of it because it could pack quite a bit of punch. Having Yoshi in there. So obviously this must have been when Super Mario World was a thing. Now he doesn't look like Yoshi, but it's still, a little dinosaur there. Good animatronic work and good design work by Patrick Tatopoulos and these other guys, the effects guys that worked on it. The end of the movie where Bowser, or should they don't call him Bowser, King Koopa. He's in that thing that's floating and Mario's hanging on. It's like the end of Super Mario World where Bowser's in that thing floating. You gotta throw stuff up to hit him on the head. That's definitely a reference to the game. So again, there's a lot of nice little things here and there that they didn't have to put that in there, but I thought it was kind of fun to catch and notice in the background, or, oh yeah, that, okay. And there are parts of this still make me laugh. When they get captured and they think they're going to be killed, they think it's a firing squad, and the way how they're getting so scared, but you find out it's a mud shot. It prints out the pictures of how scared they are. I always laugh at that bit. I always thought it was a funny. You think it's going in one direction, but it's another way. I always laughed at that. Dennis Hopper, I think he does a good job. I know, again, he hated working on the film, but I liked that he took it so serious that because he used to be a T-Rex, his arms is always like this. He always has his arms like this. You watch the T-Rex arms. He's always doing like this or doing like that. And Dennis Hopper, I mean, it's a fun performance. You just say it's over the top, it's an entertaining performance. I don't think it's boring at all. Wait, you said that he was that King Koopa was an evil, AIDS-sucking son of a snake? I did. Did I lie? It felt like he was having fun with the role. And yeah, I like the way the film looks. I like this kind of Blade Runner look to it, and a lot of it's done in camera, as much as they could, practical with the set design and the cars and everything. It's tangible and definitely felt unique when you're watching, especially when you were a kid. Yeah, I think Dennis Hopper's fun. I like the Spike and Eddie characters. I like the way Dennis Hopper treats them. He's getting mad at them. And I told you to remind him. I mean, deleted stuff. There's little bits here and there, little tiny bits here and there. Probably one of the bigger ones is when Mario and Luigi are captured. There's this guy, this musician called Toad, who Koopa de-evolves to a Goomba. I like the look of the Goombas. I think they look neat. I like them better than the game, because in the game, the Goombas are just a walking turd. That's what they look like. I mean, they're just... They look like a penis head with a face. I mean, there's really not much to the Goombas. So here I like the design. And I like how some of them have a little bit more snout and some a bit more flat-faced. I didn't mind the look of them. I thought they looked neat. I liked the effects that were done on them. Now, the thing they cut out was there was a second character that was de-evolved, but because he sneezed and Koopa is very germophobic, he puts him in there, de-evolves him. The guy seems like he's fine, but when he's propulsed out, when he falls forward, he turns to goo. Now, obviously, the effects were not finished, and you could tell if you watched the deleted scenes or even part of the HD work print. The effects weren't finished. But it does fix a continuity error, because when you watch the film, they just have the first one, Toad becoming a Goomba. So when Mario and Luigi trip him, you wonder, okay, why is Koopa slipping? What did he slip on? How can we... When they clap his arm, you see that there's all this green goo shit on there. And you're wondering, where did that come from? Why is this green shit on there? Why in the Y shot is there a goo pile on the ground? That's because... I'm guessing that was cut out because they thought it was too intense or something. I think kids would have been able to handle it. Kids like that shit. Kids were watching Predator and Aliens, or at least I was, so I was... The 99 Ninja Turtles has a turtle getting the shit kicked out of him go into a coma. I think we'd be able to handle it. But, there you go. I love the car chase. I think the car chase is a lot of fun. And again, when I'm talking about their banter and the way they interact, with how they're trying to help each other, or they celebrate and, you know, high-five each other. That's just a brotherly bonding family stuff that you don't really get a whole lot of in the animated film. Maybe a little bit at the beginning, but then they're separate for the rest of the movie until they help each other out at the end. So while the animated film definitely captured more as the aesthetic of the game, this one I just liked its personality more, if that makes sense. And even before the car chase, when they're escaping the prison and the bad guys shoot fireballs at them and they're avoiding the fireballs, some good stunt work there. Again, the car chase, some good practical stunt work. Like the one car flips up and gets on top of the other car. Or Mario has to stop while the cop cars go in and they're shooting back and forth. They're exploding, cars flipping over. And you know, it's a fun, explosive car chase. I like the way it was choreographed. When they escape into the desert, the movie does slow down a tad because it's got to have Eddie and Spike evolve to be smarter, and then they got to go find the brothers, and then Daisy finds out about her father and finds out about Yoshi, and it's okay. I mean, Yoshi, I like the look of him. Again, it doesn't look like the game. I understand, but I like the effects work on it. What's funny if you watch it again, when they evolve one of those characters, I think it's Richard Edson. He says, what's the? Do you know what the square root of dot dot dot? I forget what number it is. 24,000. I forget the number, but he mentions the square root of this number, and he's wrong. Like if you watch this again, listen to what number he says. Take out your calculator, or there's one on your computer, there's one on your phone. Type it up and do the square root, and you realize, oh shit, it's wrong. I think he says like 191, but it's like really like 194 or something. It's a little thing. I don't know how they could get that wrong. I didn't. Also, it had to do with a calculator, but that's probably part of the frenzy of the production that did little stuff like that wrong. But it's just one of those funny things I noticed. The brothers find those two, capture them, able to work together. They gotta find this rock, this meteorite piece. They gotta go to this club, Bid Bertha. I like the costume work, the costume design, just very unique. I did creative. I appreciate how creative this film is. I appreciate how unique the film is, where it really does create this other world with certain signs about mammals and the dinosaur work, and I like that stuff. I'm a sucker for that stuff. I like the soundtrack. I think the use of Walk Like a Dinosaur works well and is appropriate for the film. I like the use of the boots. I think that was a cool choice. They get the rock, they lose the rock, they gotta escape, they gotta get to Daisy, they gotta trust the fungus. Luigi thinks he's doing something, but you realize he got caught by a hook, and so Mario is falling, but then the fungus helps him. I'd high five you, but then you'd be an only child. They split up. Luigi gets to Daisy. Well, eventually he gets caught. Mario gets these girls that were kidnapped, including his girlfriend. Has a bit of adventure, and I see Bob Hoskins getting on the action. I think Bob Hoskins did a wonderful job in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and this was a fun follow-up to that. Obviously, he did films in between, like Hook. I like this more than Hook. I know people love Hook. That's fine. I actually like this more than Hook. I just find this more fun. I like the ride through the pipe, and there you go. Like, traveling the pipes, like the game. Here they're traveling through it. I like the song. Just very exhilarating. Just the adrenaline pumping. And I like the ending. Now, granted, the ending was supposed to be much more spectacular, where there's going to be this big battle on the Brooklyn Bridge. I think Koopa was going to turn to like this giant T-Rex thing, because he got de-evolved a bit, and you see his eye change, and that was supposed to be a workup to that. But obviously, expenses was cut, costs were cut. They brought it, the producers or studio brought in, I think it was Ed Solomon, who worked on Bill and Ted strips, to change stuff, and the directors didn't really have a choice, and it's like, well, wait a minute. Well, I think with concern all the craziness that happened behind the scenes, this film isn't as bad as that. I don't think it's a clusterfuck like some movies that have a lot of behind the scenes shenanigans. I just don't. Watch it again. I like that the battle takes place in this public street in the Dino Hatton world. I like the Mario gets his moments to shine, while whether by using the rocket boot to hit Bowser or avoiding his flamethrower type of gun, shooting fireballs, and Mario's dodging them. I liked the bits where Mario and Luigi use their super scopes. That's where remember Super Nintendo, the super scope. I like that they use that and see you later alligator and de-evolve them and turn them into a bunch of goo. I like the stuff in between with the kind of Koopa with this really creepy looking smile grin thing on it. That becomes a bit more of a T-Rex. Now, maybe if they change the design and when he's de-evolving he turns the actual Bowser, maybe that could have worked a bit better for people. Like, if he turns to the Bowser from the video game, King Koopa from the video, it's like, well, that's what you really looked like. But it's like, they were trying to balance like how much fantastical they can be. Obviously, T-Rex doesn't look like Koopa. So, but it's like either you gotta go with the fantasy full force, boots to the ground, or not. But yeah, it just didn't bother me. I don't know, maybe, I don't know. Again, for me, live action wise, I don't know if this stuff would work in live action. I really do not. But they're able to win the day. The team comes back. It's Lance Henriksen. It's cool to have Lance in there. He doesn't have much to do. He has like one line of dialogue or one sentence. It's funny, the documentary, Lance is interviewed, and he met his wife, I think his second wife. He met her during this, so he's like, look, Super Mario Bros. Brought life, because they got married, had kids. And yeah, it would have been nice to see this big confrontation on the Brooklyn Bridge. It would have been nice to see a bit more creatures from the game, like the piranha plants and other stuff. But as is, I think the characters are likable and charming. I think the two brothers have good chemistry with each other. There's still moments of dialogue that made me laugh and chuckle. It still has a nice quirky adventure quality with the different designs of the monsters and the old granny, like nanny looking girl when they first get to Dino Hatton and she holds them up. There's a deleted bit where Bob Hoskins actually gives her money and then she throws it. What are you doing? That was $31. Okay, I thought that was funny. That could have been left in. I thought that was funny. But she's like, I need Koopa coins. I need Koopa coupons. Again, stuff like that's just bizarre, but in a fun way. And there's so many films that are so cookie cutter and the same. It's nice to see someone go for it. I think it was the documentary. I think it was Mark Goldblatt who directed the Dolph Lundgren Punisher film, but he's an editor. He edited Predator 2, Rambo 2, Terminator 2, a lot of other stuff. It's like sometimes you gotta risk it. Sometimes you gotta risk the ridiculous and risk the ridiculousness to see if you can achieve something. And I agree with that. I can definitely agree with that and support that. Of course, when the film came out, it was a huge bomb, massive bomb, did nothing at all. One thing I wanted to mention, I was talking about the earlier script. The one script, this is what the plot would have been. Pursue Princess Hildy into a hidden world reminiscent of the Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland with a checkered brick road, tribes of mushroom people, and an anthropomorphic dragging King Koopa. Mario is the older reluctant hero, Luigi is the young dreamer that gets the girl. Gray Beeman was going to do it, but Mom and Dad say the world flopped. Nearly a year was spent searching for a replacement director willing to take on the project. Rocky, Morton, and Annabel, Jankel were the only ones interested, and they said, we'll do it if we could redo the script from scratch. And I wanted to show some of the designs. And so like the Koopa Troopers. And the Mushroom People. Which else some of that is nightmare fuel. And there was a one, oh, and then Koopa. Because there's design in here that if Arnold had said yes, this is kind of what he would have looked like. It even says Arnold S. as Teen Koopa. Something like this. I mean, who knows? Would this have been better? Because that's up to people out there. If that would have been a better look. But I like the movie that we have. It was the first movie based on a video game. And I don't think it's the worst one. I really don't. I think it's far from the worst one. I mean, Uncharted is so bland and boring. So many other ones are just bland and boring and in one ear out the other. Or like Uwe Boll stuff is so blatantly awful and insulting. I think this one is just not as bad as people make it out to be. I feel it's underrated as a piece of entertainment, as a piece of escapism and fun. I think underrated fun movie. So even the bit in the elevator where they get them dancing is goofy, it's silly, but did it make me laugh? Yes. And Bob House's reaction, like, what are you doing? He says, I didn't yet. The optimistic character and then the guy that's a little bit more down to earth. And I thought those two are a big reason why I like that film. Because I do think Bob House and John Leguizamo, they really worked well together, and they felt like family in a weird way. And it sets itself up for a sequel. I would love to have seen what a sequel would have done. There was no thoughts on what a sequel would have been. Obviously, the people, I mean, I think the directors, by the end, they were pretty much kicked out, and Roland Joffe, the producer, had to come in to finish the film. Because again, behind schedule, go a little bit over budget because of all the changes. Because you had one vision, but then you had directors that were in over their heads, and the studio that got steered, and, well, wait, there's got to be more for kids, and it can't be as dark as it is, and blah, 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 and yeah, there you go. With that said, though, thanks for watching, take care, and we will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye for now.